have to address Skinwalker Ranch. This is from the Sun today. The world's eeriest place. Inside of Skinwalker Ranch, UFO hotspot probed by the Pentagon, where cows are found inside out and the soil is radioactive. We need to talk about Skinwalker Ranch. But not tonight. But not tonight. Something else we got going on. So here we have a nice little story that I want to bring on up. It inspires some awe, or at least it takes note of awe that's been inspired in others. And the question I have posed on the Reddit and on the Gab for the show thread today was very, very simple. And that is, have you ever had any awestruck moments in your life where you were able to behold a sight that invoked such wonder or fear or joy, amazement, whatever the hell it is, something that just left you almost paralyzed, in awe, pretty much. So, I want to hear what people are saying, and I already see some great responses here, but what brought this up in me to create a topic? Well, we can get into that right now. Let's go. I saw this article on dnyuz.com. How a burst of light in the sky illuminated something primal. This is from April 15th of this year. It's not that long of an article, so we'll read the whole thing. Around 9 o'clock on the night of March 25th, the sky above my house in Seattle lit up with an astonishing display. I know this not because I happened to see it. I was inside, as I am too often, working at my computer, but because my Twitter feed was suddenly full of different versions of the same uncanny video. The earliest clips captured what looked to be like a single streak of light, fracturing outward into a shimmering cascade. What next came looked like the world's largest and longest lasting firework, or a huge shower of comets hitting all at once, or a waterfall of light falling sideways. It looked like one of those, I'm telling you this is Frank now, it looked like one of those Weeping Willow fireworks, but much bigger. A lot of people thought that it was how the shuttle re-entered and burned up and fell apart. People thought that something big was re-entering, and there was loss of life and stuff. A lot of people were talking about it. Clyde Lewis did a show on it, all that. Either way, says it was golden, spectacular, alarming, otherworldly, indecipherable, and unknown. While the cameras rolled, I could hear the voices of people pointing them upward again and again in tones ranging from rapturous to fearful, and using a variety of expletives, depending on the personality of the videographer. They looked to the sky and asked, "What is that?" I searched for more videos, clicking on them, watched the lights streak by again, searched for more. People were posting them from all across the Pacific Northwest, from Oregon to British Columbia. Some showed the light moving at different angles, or closer or farther away, or above a convenience store, or a football field, or housing development. But all had the same dark sky, the same fantastical brightness moving across it. The visuals were more or less the same. The camera trained on the heavens, but it was the audio which stayed firmly on Earth that kept me searching for more recordings. For those few dazzling moments, the people who took the videos had no idea what they were witnessing. It was so different from anything the world had ever shown them. That one guy, sounding intoxicated by awe, looked up and murmured, "This is a movie, bro." Some people guessed a plane crash or meteorites or aliens, or wondered if it was some kind of attack. One woman stopped herself midway through the word comet, already in doubt. Did comets arrive by the dozen? Other people made no guesses at all, just looked up at the sky and said, "Oh my God," or "Are you kidding me?" or "I've never seen anything like that." A lot of them were yelling. One video caught a man saying to his friend who had stopped while driving, "There's a car behind you, buddy." The friend, focused in the sky, replied, "I don't care. What the hell is this about?" By that point, Thanks to tweets from local Office of National Weather Service and an astronomer at the Center for Astrophysics, I learned the answer to that question. The light was not otherworldly at all. It was the opposite. 3 weeks before, a SpaceX rocket flew into space from a launching pad at Cape Canaveral. It was a ship from our planet loaded with satellites to scatter into low orbit around us, and now, following a failure of its planned deorbit burn, part of it was re-entering the atmosphere whence it came, kicking up a startling spray of fireballs. It was nothing more mysterious than another billionaire's rocket, nothing scarier than the ongoing process of turning the sky into commerce and trash. We were watching a piece of humanity falling back to Earth. Not so very long ago, before our scientific era, it was a common experience to encounter in the sky above us troubling things that could not be explained, and to build myths and taboos and religions about them. Mark Twain, who was born when a certain comet passed by Earth, predicted that he would die when it returned. He wrote a whole book on the premise that a modern time traveler who could forecast an eclipse would have been seen in the past as a terrifying magician. The Romantics distinguished between the merely beautiful and the truly sublime. The second was overwhelming, in part because humans feared and could not understand what Edmund Burke called the terrible uncertainty of the thing. I thought of this, our ancient trembling before the vast and unknown sky, when I heard a genuine fright in some of the videos. One small-sounding girl tried to keep the panic out of her voice as she asked her mother, "Mom, are we okay?" Often, though, the fear sounded almost incredulous, as if these 21st century narrators have long doubted the sky had real surprises to offer us anymore, were suddenly questioning that assumption. Mark Twain did die just after the comet returned, 75 years after he was born beneath it. Are we about to die? Some people in the videos asked one another, laughing unsettled laughs. One man wondered, are we about to look like dinosaurs? Others called the fire department, even though it was the sky that was on fire. They had to call somebody, yet there were also those who seemed to embrace the mystery. The frightened little girl was with her mother, and it sounded like her grandmother. She eventually asked them what everyone else was asking. What is that? The grandmother had an enviable, almost knowing acceptance of her voice when she calmly answered, "We don't know." The rocket was, from one perspective, no big deal. It was part of 10 that were launched around the world in March, and when it re-entered the atmosphere, it became at least the 10th piece of space debris, bigger than a ton, to do so this year. But seeing it burn through the darkness clearly felt monumental to the people below. Our social media selves are ever more crafted and curated, but these recordings captured accidentally something intimate and exposed about the people who took them. Each voice expressed a transcendent moment of raw emotion. There were the gleeful voices, one so thrilled and confused that they couldn't even seem to stop talking, the ones whose amazement and exhilaration exploded into laughter, sometimes as the videos showed them running toward the lights. Others carried such incandescent awe that I don't know how to describe it, other than to say that it suffused their voices with tenderness. What they said was quiet and ordinary. "Oh my gosh, that's beautiful," or "What am I seeing?" But it was also alive and underwhelmed and reverent. You couldn't help loving them a little, just for the depth of feeling in their voices, for how fully that they had allowed themselves to be overtaken by the strangeness of this unknowable and humbling thing far above them. By pointing their cameras upward, they unintentionally captured themselves. That's a nice way of putting it. One of my favorite videos was taken in Oregon. As it begins, the camera is pointed at a tree where fireballs are just starting to emerge from behind the branches. The audio is loud with the throbbing of frogs, and the person recording seems very much tethered to the planet he's on. He doesn't say much on the video, just a single word actually, but it feels as if he put his whole moved and confused self into it, and in doing so recreates an ancient and primal movement. Down here on Earth, surrounded by frogs, he looked up at the sky and asked, "What? What?" Just simply what? So I loved that little short article on something that was news for a little bit less than a day, because these little things that we pass by and we say, oh, it's fodder, it's this and that, oh, it's just SpaceX, oh, it's a distraction. But there's always a little something. There's always a little shard of a looking glass that's inside of all these things. There's something that tell us a little bit about ourselves in the way that we come face to face with these